the Photography Online podcast in partnership with Kingjoy Tripods.
Coming up in our January podcast, we discuss the photographer who took just minutes to recreate a shot that took him 6 years the first time round. And James and Marcus get all excited about the sale of the world's largest walk-in large format camera. We start the year with a brand new pop quiz and see if Marcus's new technique carries on working for him. And we discover inflatable studio lights and the action figure with a hidden secret.
And now, please welcome your panellists. A man whose images are so fresh, he keeps his camera gear in the fridge. It's Marcus McAdam.
Yep, top shelf next to all my film.
And a man who had his toenails surgically removed, so he wastes no time having to cut them. It's James McCormick.
Always fleet of foot, that's me.
And here to keep them both in check, it's Ruth Taylor.
Hey everybody, welcome to our January podcast. Happy New Year to everyone. I am Ruth, your host, joined by Marcus and James. Marcus just mentioning there, he does keep his camera gear in the fridge next to his film. It's true. We record next to a studio fridge, shall we call it, which when you first got it contains many things: Vimpto, 7-Up, basically
Iron
food
Brew.
and drink. Iron Brew. That lasted, I think, until it was all used, and it's nothing except film, photography paper, all the rest of it.
All the things that should be in a film fridge, Ruth.
This is true. To be fair, this is his second fridge. I can only hope that the fridge in the kitchen doesn't contain photography gear, but I haven't actually gone in to check.
No, it doesn't, but food items have been known to be placed into the film fridge. Not by me, I should add.
No, that's true. I have seen the occasional cauliflower sitting next to the Fuji.
Refrigerator wars goes on in this household.
James also back with us. How's it going, James?
I'm all right. You're not going to ask me where I keep my toenail clippings, Ruth?
Oh, geez, I decided to pass over that
Hopefully
one.
not on the cheese shelf in the fridge.
No, I keep them in the crisper drawer. Happy New Year, Ruth. Happy
New Year to you. James, is that a Christmas present you're wearing there? It looks like one of these blanket cum jumper cum, something just super cozy. Has it got a hood?
Well, I would, but it'll mess with the sound if I put my hood up. It's a hoodie. It's the only hoodie I possess.
For 2026, Marcus and James, you are going to be hearing a little bit more of these guys.
Oh dear.
They're going to be the two team members. I know, old ears, right? Joining me on the podcast throughout the year. Harry and Nick, basically just very, very busy with a day job in general. It's getting pretty difficult dragging them into the studio. So we thought we'd keep them for special occasions. Oof. And I'm not sure if that's a treat or not. But we will be bringing them in through the year. But the kind of day-to-day, month-to-month, James and Marcus are going to
They'll be kept fresh in the fridge.
In
the fridge, in Marcus's fridge, ready to go.
You guys are going to be representing. That also means they're going to be head-to-head on the pop quiz every month. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I hope it's a little bit easier to figure out.
But can you have two losers, Ruth?
Well, with you guys, there is every possibility. So I'm starting a fresh kind of quiz sheet from scratch. I haven't upgraded to a spreadsheet or anything. I've still got the old notepad going on. So that'll go on the notice board, and we'll see how you guys do over the year. That is coming up. We're going to be looking at gear, of course, as usual, as well as our news stories. And we're going to start off the news stories with a bit of an update, Marcus, on a story that we mentioned month before last, I think it wasn't quite last month before, but tell us about this.
Yeah, so we were mentioning, it was actually myself and Chris Sale when we had a couple of proper pros on the show, and we were covering the story about the Pope's camera going up for auction at the Lights Photographica auction in Vienna, and we estimated, or we didn't estimate, but we were reading out that the estimation was for it to fetch $80,000 at auction. And you, Ruth, actually suggested that was probably undervalued. To which I
did scoff.
We all agreed. But it's now been sold, and so the estimate was $80,000. How much did it sell for?
It sold for 100 times the amount, and I would tell you what it is, but I've gone too far down the page.
I can tell you what it is.
It.
It's $7.6 million.
Wow.
So the actual price they gave was in euros, but I've done the conversion. So yeah, estimated 80,000, and it actually went for 7.6 million, which, as you say, is almost 100 times the value. So I don't know, what Do you know, James, if there's a job description for somebody who values auction items?
Well, it'd be the auctioneer's job and the valuator, yeah.
Do you think this particular auctioneer, valuer, is looking for a new job now? Because to get something so drastically wrong...
Well, the thing is that actually... the auction valuers often undervalue things to get people's interest there, to get people bidding. So it's a deliberate policy to undervalue things to get people to register interest.
So he's probably got a promotion instead.
Yeah, but myself, Chris and Ruth, who know nothing about auctions, we knew that was undervalued. So if it was obvious to us, it was hopefully obvious to everybody else. But... all the money went to charity, and the auction house even waived any fees as well. So all $7.6 million went to the charity. Now, just recapping on what the camera actually was, it was a Leica MA with a matching Noctilux M lens. Now, when we talk about Leica lenses, they all have different names like Noctilux and Sumilux and what have you. And there's actually a format for why they're called all these. And do you know the answer?
Are you asking me? Because I don't.
Okay, so it's quite interesting actually. So if you see a Leica lens which is labelled Noctilux, that means that its maximum aperture is between f0.95 and f1.25. So basically it's the fastest possible lens that you can get for any Leica.
So that's where the Nocti bit comes in, is it?
Yes.
I.e. night.
If you have a Sumilux lens, that means it's an f1.4. Okay, the next one down is a Summicron lens, which is an f2. And then you've got an Elmarit lens, which is f2.8. And then finally, they have an Elmar lens, which is f3.5 to 4. Now, I've got a suggestion, because maybe one day they'll make a lens which has a maximum aperture of f5.6 or even lower, and we need to come up with a name for it. So I've got a name, the Laxilite.
Right.
Get it? Laxilite? Lax.
Lax light. Oh, I get it. Yes,
lax light. Sorry, I was. Never mind.
James was thinking laxative. Lax.
I didn't actually know that. Always learning. It's quite nice actually. It gives the lenses a bit more character to know that they've got names. Funnily enough.
Absolutely, but I was always confused by that, because I was thinking, why do they have all these different names, and what do they mean? And that's all they mean. It's nothing to do with the actual quality of the glass. It's just to do with the maximum aperture. But obviously, as the maximum aperture widens, probably the price of the lens goes up. But it depends on focal length, I guess. So now you know.
There we go.
All right. Well, 100 times its estimate. Do we know who bought it?
It wasn't me. That's all I can say.
It's not going to appear in one of our stockings then. I did ask for a Leica for Christmas, but to be fair, a bargain compared to that.
If you got a Leica from me, Ruth, it would definitely have a Laxilite on the front of it.
All right, anyway, you can check out that story update if you want to. Pope Francis's Leica selling for 100 times its estimate. First of the big stories today, though, or main stories, I should say. James, you've got our first one, and this is a rather... an unusual story, James. Explain what this is all about, first of all.
Yeah, so... We've been down the road I'm about to explain a few times about, photographers and access to places, but this is a little bit wider. It's about access to a beach for not just photographers, but for all people. And what it is, it's an elevator that has been partially 3/4 built, I think, in Bali at a place called Kelingking Beach. And it's basically what I would describe it as a bit of a monstrosity up the side of what was a pretty inaccessible cliff face down to a very cute beach. And originally the only way to get to that beach was by boat, or, the locals knew about it. And I suspect there was probably a pretty precarious path down there. So only intrepid people or people with access to the sea could get there. But now they've built this... it's basically going to be an elevator that they'll charge to use on the side of the cliff, and it's it looks like a load of scaffolding at the moment. It's hard to picture exactly what it's going to look like, because it says it's the picture I'm looking at says it's an artist's impression, but it's not particularly pleasant or good on the eye. And there was a bit of a backlash from the locals and the local authority that run that particular area, and it's now going to be removed. But it opens up a wider question as to whether access to places is good or bad, and whether infrastructure that goes into place, is good or bad, and should, just because you are fit and able, as I am, Ruth, I can scramble my way anywhere. Well, maybe not quite anywhere anymore, but anyway, should I be allowed to go there or not? Should I be able to take Great Aunt Mary there or not? It's a difficult question, really, but I think my personal view is that places of outstanding natural beauty, certainly in the UK anyway, should be left well alone. I think we've done enough building, and we can stick to building in our cities and metropolitan areas as opposed to sort of more natural, beautiful spots. And that's nothing to do with being a photographer per se. It's just leave wild spots to wildness. And unfortunately, that means some people might not access and some will be able to. But one has to draw a little bit of a line somewhere. And it's nice to see, again, in my view, that a line has been drawn here and they are going to remove this. But having said all of that, will I change my mind in how many years do you reckon I've got left of walking, Marcus?
Very
Not
few.
long.
I mean,
very few.
You were talking about scrambling a minute ago, James. The only scrambling you do is in the morning with a couple of eggs and a pan.
I don't even do that anymore, actually. It's avocado, smashed avocado on toast.
Oh,
I know, healthy,
wow.
healthy lifestyle.
Yeah. The hoodie and the hipster.
Yeah, I've become a hooded hipster. I'll be drinking craft ale before you know it. I don't know what your view is, Marcus, because obviously we take people to all sorts of places and there are safety barriers in places and there are lifts and stairs. Zhangjiajie in China comes to mind, actually, doesn't it? Where
Yes.
So if you describe what that is, I mean, that could be described as a bit of a monstrosity, but is it or isn't it?
Well, I mean, Zhangjiajie is a national park in China, probably the busiest park in China. And when it's busy, it's absolutely heaving. I mean, it's like sardines, isn't it? And if you didn't have barriers there, people would just be pushed off the edge. I mean, that's as simple as that. So you can understand why health and safety has to be applied there. But when you were explaining that story, it reminded me of a cave that I went to in Australia many, many years ago, and I can't remember the name of the cave, but it was a big cave with lots of stalagmites hanging down. Are they stalagmites or stalactites, the ones that hang down?
It's mites and tights.
Yes, if I know, but which ones go down and which ones go up? Because
I think the tights go down.
Tights go down. Well, hey!
You need to remember that. There's a very easy way to picture that in your mind. There you are, job done.
Yes, okay. So anyway, I walked into this cave, which was a beautiful cave with lots of stalactites and stalagmites going up and down. There, I've covered myself there. But what they'd done is they'd built this accessible ramp so that people in wheelchairs could access the cave, which is all very well. As the father of a child in a wheelchair, I can have a say on this and not be shot down in flames. But what it did is it ruined it for everybody else. So it's an advantage to anybody in a wheelchair, but to anybody who's able to go into a cave and wants to see it in its natural form, it's now blighted by this scaffold runway going all the way through the middle of it. And you certainly couldn't take any photos there. So you've got this beautiful place that's now no longer photogenic. And I just remember thinking, sometimes things just need to be left. And if people have to miss out, then they have to miss out. My son is in a wheelchair. He accepts that there's a lot of places in the world that he can't go to. He doesn't need to necessarily go to a cave at the expense that it's ruined for everybody else. So that's my view on it.
So in the end, Ruth, there's probably no right or wrong answer to this question, really. What's progress, what is not progress? But I don't know. There are, as I would tend to fall, as Marcus has more eloquently explained than me, on the side of we don't need to get everywhere all the time.
Okay, well, I mean, have a wee look in the show notes. There is an artist, I think it's an artist's impression.
It says it. Yeah, it does. It does. Interestingly, it says that. But if you look, as I have, very closely at the picture, the artist also included cranes and a building. So I don't quite understand that. But you get the general gist of what's going on. So
I believe they had started, I think they'd actually started work on this, and then they've rolled it all back.
Correct.
But there is like I say, have a wee look. It is very realistic. It might even be the real thing. I'm not sure. Artist's impression of that 600-foot glass elevator down a cliff onto a beach in Bali, and have your say. Feel free to let us know in the comments, send us an email. I'll give you details of how to do that a little bit later on. Story number 2, though, Marcus, is one that I thought, well, at first I thought maybe I'll put this in the gear section, but then I thought, you know what, no, this is newsworthy, and something that I'm sure would intrigue you, certainly me, who is a lover of very, very large black and white photographs. So tell us all about what this story is.
Okay, so this is the world's largest walk-in large format camera that's going up for sale. Now, this is something, as you rightly mentioned, Ruth, that I am interested in. As I'm looking to get something bigger than my current ultra-large format camera, which I did walk into the other day and I stubbed my toe really badly on it. So, but this particular one is known as the Imago camera. And usually large format cameras are described in inches. So, I have a 4x5, I have an 8x10, I have an 8x20. This one is a 4x7 camera, but that's meters. So, we couldn't describe it in inches because it would have been too many inches to describe. So I've had to go to meters. So developed by a physicist under the name of Wiener Krauss in the 1970s, the Imago camera captures life-size 1-to-1 portraits on 62 by 200 centimetre paper. Now, James, 200 centimetres tall, I mean, that's tall enough to get you on it, but not wide enough to get you in profile.
Well, that's very, very, very harsh, but also very, very true. It is actually tall enough to get me in a little bowler hat on, I think, at 2 metres. I think just a little...
But you'd have to be looking straight down the barrel of the lens, because if you turn sideways, your belly would be cropped off.
So I'm wider straight on than I am. It's so harsh. And I'm eating smashed avocado on toast.
I know. Well, you've probably got another year to go before you're going to fit onto this paper.
So I had never ever heard or seen or had any inkling that this thing existed, and the images it produces are truly astonishing. Has it been on your radar?
No, not at all, but let me describe what happens, because anyone listening to this will be wondering what on earth this camera is. So basically it's a big giant camera that you walk inside. So imagine it's like a small room, and there's a mirror inside so that you can compose yourself and make sure your hair's nice and everything.
That would be good for Ruth.
Standing in a nice...
Should be in there for an hour.
Yeah, so you're looking in the mirror, and when you're happy with your posture and your appearance, you press a button, and 6 lights basically blind you with light, because it needs a lot of light because it's exposing straight onto paper. And paper has a very low ISO. I think it's normally about ISO 2 or ISO 3. So you're going to need a lot of light. So you basically come out not able to see, just completely blind. But then the paper gets developed in chemicals, and you end up with this life-size portrait of yourself at the moment that you press the button. And I urge anybody to go to the link that we're going to leave in the show notes and have a look at the photos, because they are remarkable.
They are remarkable. They are absolutely, they're incredible. I mean, clearly it is a kind of mini studio, but they look, go and have a look at them. They are absolutely beautiful and stunning. I've never seen anything quite like it, really. And I think when you say light, so they strobes, I'm just looking at it here, they must be. To get the amount of light required, I think they must be flashlights. But nonetheless, which makes it even more extraordinary to produce the results that are there.
It does. But the reason why this is up for sale is because in 1976, so only 6 years after it was originally made, the paper size wasn't available anymore to make photos. So but it was basically just it was dismantled and put on the shelf to collect dust. But Wiener Krauss's daughter, after his death, she convinced Ilford to start making the paper again in that size, which they did. And so she basically resurrected the camera, put it all back together again. And she's been running it ever since, and presumably charging people for portraits. Now, I tried to find out how much you had to pay to have your portrait taken, and I couldn't find that information anywhere. But she's now died, and there's nobody willing to carry on the family legacy, so they're putting the camera up for sale. So
come on, step up to the plate.
Come on.
I mean, just like the Pope's camera, this is a true one of a kind.
I tell you what, if you think about this, I'll go into it with you 50-50.
50-50,
You're not going to both fit on one of those things.
No, we don't. No, we're not going in it together, Ruth. That's not what I meant. God forbid, painting mental pictures nobody wants. I meant we'll buy it together.
But there's no price, so they've said it's for sale, but there's no price because they're doing it through a closed bidding process. So there's not even a guide price. So basically, I mean, we can chance our luck here, James, and put in a cheeky offer, and if it's the only offer, we'll get it. So what do you reckon?
I think we should. I absolutely love it. It's one of my most favourite things we've ever featured on the podcast. It's amazing.
Realistically, if someone said to you, right, okay, you can have it, what would be the minimum price?
Oh, you're really putting me on the spot there.
No, because I think it would be a good commercial venture. If you run this...
It would be a very good commercial... I know.
If you had this in London, okay, you could be charging a lot of money for people to walk in and have their portraits taken.
Well, as you well know, this photography podcast is one of the higher ranking photography podcasts, if not one of the highest ranking.
One of the top 2% in the world, I do
One
believe.
of the top two. So I'm actually not going to answer that question because... we will speak about this and we will put in a bid. So if we say what we think, somebody just has to add £1 to it and we're out.
It's fantastic. It's such. I mean, it reminds me. Actually, you mentioned Ilford. It reminds me of Ilford's pop-up darkroom in a way.
Yes, it's a lot bigger than that.
Like armadillo-like. Yeah.
But okay. But let's just say, forget owning it for a moment, okay? Let's just say that you knew about it when it was still in operation and you thought, okay, yeah, that sounds great. I'll go and have a portrait taken.
I would totally do that.
No, I would totally do it. But what would you do with the portrait? That's the thing. I mean, how narcissistic would you have to be to have it on your wall?
You would need to go as a family or as a couple and have the pair on your wall or the whole...
What I would do, Ruth, I would roll it up and give it to James as a Christmas present so that he could have a life-size photo of me on his bathroom wall.
You could have one of each of us, yes.
Wow. Well, I've got a pair of socks like that, thanks to you, Ruth.
Yes, well, anyway, they've not been seen since they were given so, but it's such a cool thing. Honestly, have a wee look at it in the show notes as usual. Check that out, let us know what you think about it. So story number 3 is similar to something we were chatting about on our live show last month, all about how kind of tech is making things easier, but is that necessarily a good thing? James, just explain first of all what this story is all about.
So there's a photographer, Alan McFadden, who took a picture of a kingfisher diving, and we've all seen thousands and thousands of images of kingfishers diving, often taken from hides, and you can have your view on whether that's ethical or not. And I'm not going to go into the ethics here, but the picture he originally took a while ago, I think it was in 2015, back in 2015, is of the kingfisher diving to catch a fish, and the button has been pressed exactly the moment that the beak of the kingfisher touches the water. So there's not a single ripple on the water. It's exactly the split second timing, the millionth of a second that kingfisher beak, as it plunges deep into the, to grab its minnow or whatever it is. You can all picture it, and you probably have seen it because it's quite a famous picture. It's been all over sort of social media and that sort of things. And it took him back in 2015 750,000 shots to get it, which is a lot.
He can't have been a very good photographer. I mean, even your hit rate's better than that, James.
I know. That's what I was thinking. Funnily enough, I did something very similar with a robin, trying to take a picture of a robin with a very shallow depth of field, and it took me about 7,000 shots, not 72,000 shots. But anyway.
Now, when you say 750,000, James, I'm assuming that's not all at one time. It's over a span
so he spent it over about 6 years trying to do it. So, and it is a great shot. So he has clearly uprated his gear to a mirrorless system, which was what we were talking about I had done not that long ago. So you've got pre-capture, you've got 30 frames a second as opposed to 12 frames a second, all of that kind of thing. And he's recreated this shot, and he says it took him just 6 minutes as opposed to the 6 years it took him before to recreate it. Now, admittedly, that the new shot doesn't have the sort of photographic nuance that the old one does. The lighting's nowhere near as good, the background, the water, everything. But the essence of i.e. the Kingfisher at exactly that moment, frozen in time, with its beak just touching the water, plunging in. The technical side of it is replicated. The nuance, not so much. So 6 years to 6 minutes, the advancement of technology, meaning he's able to do that. Does it make him a better photographer? I'm not so sure it does. And this is nothing to do with Alan McFadden, by the way. It's nothing at all to do with him. It's just a wider point of, because you can get to somewhere faster by using technology, autofocus and eye tracking on the Kingfisher and frames per second and pre-capture and all of that kind of thing. I think in a way it opens that debate to what we were discussing on our live show, that you can actually forget about the essence of photography and be too caught up in the technical side of it. And I personally would have rather taken 6 years and 72, maybe not 720,000 shots, I beg your pardon. That might have tested my patience a little bit. But the dedication to do it, I would rather be in that camp than 6 minutes. I really would. And, the difference between the two pictures is stark. I dare say he will go on to recreate the picture again in better lighting conditions and better weather conditions. But will it ever truly match the meaning of the original? He says not, and I would tend to agree with him. I think it's just not. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I mean that's the main thing here is that when you put so much dedication and time and effort into getting a shot and then actually succeed, as he did in 2015, the satisfaction that you get from that is overwhelming, because you finally achieved what you've been working on for many years, or many months or even days. It doesn't matter. And to be able to do that in 6 minutes now, where's the satisfaction in that? It's just, you just go home as if it's just another day. There's no.
I agree. So you're lacking in satisfaction, but the other thing you're lacking in is, I believe, you're lacking in creativity. So I think a lot of people, and nothing to do again with Alan McFadden here. I like the original picture he took. But I think for many people, you could go out and get a bird in flight. I see so many birds in flight photos these days. Short-eared owls is a very popular thing to photograph at this time of year. And I see a lot of those shots, and they are nailed. They are pin sharp. And the photographer's clearly gone out, seen an owl, put the camera towards it, press the button, and everything's been taken care of. But in that process, he has totally forgotten about animal behaviour, and most importantly, photographically, he's forgotten about light direction. So many of the pictures I see that are technically great these days have no je ne sais quoi about them. They have absolutely no thought to do with light. It's all to do with the technical aspect of nailing the shot. So by being able to nail it quickly, you go home too soon and you've not given enough thought to the photographic process.
And the fact that you said he there, does it mean that women don't do that?
Funnily, I don't know why I said the word he. Probably because we were talking about it was Alan.
Careful.
No. I think, as Ruth, I think women photographers are often better than their male counterparts, because they tend to spend a little bit more time thinking about their subject matter and light direction than men, who can generally get caught up in the technical side of photography. Massive generalisation.
Massive.
But
we'll take it.
I mean, the analogy that I use with all this technology in cameras now is, it's a bit like cars. We've got cars that do everything for us. So in my newest car, it does the full beam automatically, and it tells you if there's someone in your blind spot and does all this. And all it does is it makes you into a worse driver. So, they're talking about driverless cars now because, they're safer. They're only safer because you've turned all the drivers into idiots by giving them all this technology. If you just took all the technology away and said to people, look, if you can't drive a car properly, you can't drive, end of that, then the roads would be a much safer place. I'm convinced of it.
I think in essence, Ruth, the takeaway from this is that if you can embrace the technology and use it creatively whilst still thinking about light direction and your subject's behaviour and all of that side of it, then that's great. But don't be swept along with the technology alone.
All right, well, our final story for our news section is one man who certainly didn't rely on tech for his iconic photography. Marcus, many people, photographers and not, will have seen this in the news recently. Tell us what it's about.
Yeah, so a famous British lifestyle photographer, Martin Parr, sadly died at the age of 73 last month. Now, I was aware of the name, but I can't say that I was particularly aware of his work. But obviously, with all the media press, and I mean, he even made the 10 o'clock news. You got to be big. I mean,
there were famous photographs. I loved his stuff.
Yeah, but when you're watching the 10 o'clock news and you've got a story about the war in Ukraine and Russian submarine impeding into UK waters, and then, by the way, Martin Parr, the photographer's died. It's like, that it's a pretty big deal, and it just got me interested into sort of doing some research and seeing what his work was all about, and actually watched a BBC documentary on him, which was made in 2024. So it wasn't made because he's died. It was actually just by coincidence. It was made only 2 years ago. It was very interesting. It was an hour long, and it basically was just a fly-on-the-wall documentary following him around seaside resorts as he took photos. And he was obviously well known for his kind of like satire style of photos of the working class, basically holidaying in British seaside resorts and just capturing that side of things.
For the kind of ridiculous.
But one thing struck me, and I'm not being disrespectful to Martin because he's taken some fantastic photos, but by watching the documentary, it became obvious that he takes an incredible number of photos. I mean, just out every single day, constantly snap, 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 snap. And bearing in mind, we're probably only seeing less than 1% of the cream that rises to the top of that. But even then, some of the photos that he was selecting, I was looking at that going, oh dear, I wouldn't let anyone see that if I'd taken that. But then on the other hand, there were lots of photos that were absolutely fantastic. So I found it as a real mixture of stuff there. But I don't know how familiar are you guys with his work?
Well, I've always admired his work, and one of the reasons is he's got a feel of a slightly modern day Cartier-Bresson to him, in that he never really worried about horizons being levelled. He never worried about junk in his pictures. It was all about the storytelling side of it. Technical, completely irrelevant to Martin Parr. Clearly he knows what he's doing holding a camera, but depth of field or any of that nonsense was completely irrelevant to him. It was all about the subject matter and the story that it told. Now, I can kind of agree with you about what you're saying about that 1% hit rate, as it were, that one sees anyway, not hit rate, that one sees. And also some of the pictures don't always work, but his pictures are of a time, and they're almost more important in the future than they are, in the last sort of 50 years of his working life. So the pictures he produced during his working life for varying publications, great. And they absolutely do tell the stories of our seaside towns, which, you and I have been to and worked in and witnessed, and they are quite something to photograph. But actually his legacy will be, I think his legacy will be in another 10, 20, 30, 100 years' time. That's when these pictures will truly come to life. And his attention to human behaviour is second to none. I absolutely adore his work.
He was saying that people in the South, this is the South of the UK, would often blame him for his messy photography because there was litter everywhere and everything, and he had to explain that's just how the North looks. And he said, I often get the blame for how messy the North is.
But that is a really important point about why his pictures will stand the test of time, because as you know, I shoot a similar style of pictures to do brochures for property developments, let's say. And yes, I'm shooting commercially and I'm shooting in a different style. I'm not making news pictures, but I would clean up some of those pictures. I would remove some, or I would crop out the skip that's in the background, or, the excavator that's been abandoned by the side of the road. His pictures will stand the test of time. Mine might be all nice and pretty, but they will not.
I mean, one of the things that does stand out about most of his photography is the fact that he uses on-camera flash, and it just gives it that kind of. It's not. Yeah. I'm not a fan of it at all, as we've spoken about in past, Ruth. And you said we didn't have a disagreement, but we didn't agree on the fact of whether flash was beneficial or not. And I think it's not. And you said that you quite like the style, so it is just a matter of opinion.
But that use of flash was of the time. So
Yeah.
in his later career, he didn't do that anywhere near as much as I'm aware of, or I can tell from looking at his imagery. So that sort of 80s pictures, that it was very in vogue because flash, you could use flash as a fill thing. It was a relatively new tool, and he utilised that new tool.
But if you're interested in watching the BBC documentary, if you can get access to the BBC iPlayer, which is only really accessible if you're within the UK, unless you know a workaround, the documentary is called I Am Martin Parr. On that, James, because it was only recently, it was just a couple of years ago that it was filmed, he's literally walking around a seaside town with a Zimmer frame, one of those like walker things,
no way.
but it's got wheels on it.
There's hope for me.
Yeah, and he's got a digital camera around his neck. I think it was a Canon 5D Mark IV.
Yep.
And it's got a massive flash on the top with a diffuser and everything. And he's just walking up to people, getting right in their faces and just using flash at 30 centimeters from them. It's just bizarre. But what's really funny is his little walker is on wheels, and every time he stops and lets go of it because he wants to raise the camera up to his eye, if he's on a slope, it would start rolling away, and he'd have to run after it.
He was a legend, and like Marcus said, we'll put a link to that, or certainly the news story, and if we can find the video somewhere as well in the show notes, do check those out for that story and for all the stories we've mentioned as well in our news section. But it is time to move on to the quiz.
The Photography Online Podcast Quiz.
Yes, welcome back to the Pop Quiz. It's 2026. The Photography Online Podcast Quiz is, of course, carrying on all the way through our podcast this year. I will be asking our two panellists photography-related questions, obviously. You guys can play along as well. The answers will be revealed at the end of the quiz. There will be 5 rounds, each one worth a point for the correct or closest answer. In the event of a tie, both of you guys receive the point. We did our tot up at the end of last year, and Marcus and James won, one lost, so we wouldn't go through who was the winner and loser, but there was 4 people in the mix last year. Only 2 of you this time, so is it all to play for? I don't know.
It's the battle of the champions.
I think that increases my chances, doesn't it, Ruth?
It does.
Because I've got a 50-50 now, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
Round 1. Photography Trivia.
All right, photography trivia. Here we go. Here's a general question, guys, that basically doesn't fit into any of our more specific rounds. What discontinued film stock became legendary for its colour rendition after it was used by National Geographic photographers?
Okay.
I could only legitimately do this question with you guys because you have used film in the past. So,
Yep.
Got something?
I have done.
Oh, James is looking quite confident.
Well, I've yes.
I mean, how specific do we need to be? Do we have to get the exact name?
You need to get the name of the film.
But it comes with a number after it. I
Yes,
think that's
it
what
does.
Marcus is alluding to.
Because there were various versions of it.
All right, okay.
We can argue in a
no,
minute.
we don't need the number.
Okay.
We don't need
I
the
need
number.
to write that more clearly then.
All right, I forgot to tell you guys write stuff down, but it's not so bad when there's only a couple of you.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to round 2.
Round 2. Multiple choice.
All right, well, in this round, I'm going to give you an answer. Well, I'm not going to give you an answer yet. I'm going to give you a question, which is fairly difficult, and to help you out, I have given you 4 possible answers. So all I need you to do, tell me which one you think is correct. Here's the question. What does CMOS stand for? CMOS, as in a CMOS sensor. Is it A, complementary metal oxide semiconductor? B, circuit matrix output signal? B, computational micro-object scanner, or D, crystal micro-optical surface?
I can't remember anything. Can you remember anything that she just said?
Well, I've eliminated one of them already, so I've got it down to 3. But,
Ruth, are you going to get terribly cross with me if I ask on behalf of the listeners to read those out just one more
Half
time?
of the nations. Okay, A, complementary metal oxide semiconductor. B, circuit matrix output signal. C, computational micro-object scanner. D, crystal micro-optical surface.
Okay.
And did you make the other ones that are wrong up yourself?
Well, might have done.
All right. I can see into the inner workings of Ruth Taylor's mind.
Well, you have said this before and got it horribly wrong, so...
I know, but that was when I asked you to marry me.
Well,
yeah, you misjudged that
No
one,
arguments.
James, big time.
I know. You then asked me, funnily enough, but anyway.
Only because I felt sorry for you.
CMOS sensor. So there we go. Round 2 multiple choice. You guys got something?
Yeah,
I have.
Well, I've only got to write down a letter between A and D.
Yeah, I'm
so
not
I've
writing
written
down the full answer. I've just gone for a letter.
Okay. All right, let's move on.
Round 3. Name the year.
All right, well, in this round, the answer to the question is a year. The round goes to whoever gets the closest answer, but if either of you gives me the exact one, you will get a bonus point. Here we go. In what year was the first aerial photograph taken?
Ooh, right, okay. Let's have a think.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, kneading of foreheads going on here.
these things are either always way early. No, it's got to be earlier than that.
Yeah. Oh, I've got something. I mean, I've just guessed.
Okay, that's all right.
All right, I'm going to change it to that because there will be a reason. Right. Yes, I've written down something.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Excellent.
Round 4. Artificial intelligence.
All right. In this round, I asked ChatGPT to describe a photographic object, person, or practice without mentioning the name of the subject. All I need you to do is tell me what did I ask it to talk about. Here we go.
I am a quiet window to the unseen. Bring me close, and I stretch the smallest lines and curves, letting hidden shapes reveal themselves. Darkness shields me as I magnify, and those who seek precision whisper my name. I show what is there, yet often missed, capturing secrets in a single, careful gaze.
I have no idea.
No, it's either two. It's one of two things, I think.
Oh, well, James has got some sort of idea.
It's really creepy. I mean, it's the sort of thing you wake up shivering about.
Well, this is AI for you. I mean, it'll give you put in something, it'll give you, and it'll make it very, very obvious, which we can't have, obviously.
Yeah.
So quite often you have to put a prompt and say, be more mysterious, and it goes for this kind of creepy thing. So maybe not one to be used for your Valentine's poetry.
Oh.
Okay, I've put something down. Not confident at all,
Yeah,
but
me too.
At least I've got something.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Is this lack of confidence legitimate, or is this part of your new technique? Are you going to carry this on into 2026?
We'll see.
2025, he decided in his last couple of months that being confident wasn't working for him.
Definitely
and
not.
He decided not to be. All right, well, let's move on to our final round.
Round 5. Take a wild guess.
All right, well, as the name suggests, this round requires an answer which could be almost anything, so you are fairly unlikely to get it exact. I don't think anybody has, in fact, to date. So you will need to take a wild guess. As with round 2, the point goes to whoever gets the closest to the answer, and although unlikely, if one of you does get the exact answer, there are 2 bonus points. All right, here we go. What is the world's longest photographic exposure time?
Hey?
What, that's ever been done? Or that's
done.
possible?
Ever been done.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have made that clearer. Yes. What is the longest photographic exposure time that has, been exposed?
Oh, crikey. What? I mean, I don't even know where to start with that. This is unfair. It's more Marcus's.
It's a wild guess, to be fair. So,
Okay, I've got something.
Can you promise, Ruth, by the way, not to laugh at some of my answers? Because I could be...
I cannot. I cannot. This is what makes the quiz so fun. It's always very, very random. Okay, the first one was our kind of photography trivia general knowledge round. I asked you which discontinued film stock became legendary for its colour rendition after it was used by National Geographic photographers. You both seemed fairly confident. So let's go first, James.
Kodachrome.
Marcus?
Yeah, like I've got Kodachrome 64, but you said you didn't need the number.
Oh, 64.
So you didn't need that.
No,
I have
you're
got
right.
64 written there just for clarity.
But I believe
there
it
we
did
go.
also come in a 200.
It
you
did,
could get
yeah.
Kodachrome 200 as well.
Yeah, correct.
This would have been an interesting round if I'd given this to Harry and Nick, because I'm fairly confident neither of them would have had a clue. But yes, Kodachrome, renowned for its colour archival stability, invented in 1935 by 2 blokes, both called Leopold, actually. Leopold I'm not even going to attempt that. Anyway, 2 blokes called Leopold, scientists and musicians. It was slide film, discontinued in 2009. And did you know this, guys? Paul Simon released a song called Kodachrome. which I could have used as the question and might have been more interesting, but it was that famous.
I did not know that, but I used it myself for many years.
So did I, yeah.
It had a unique processing which only Kodak could do, so you couldn't possibly process this yourself. You had to send it back to Kodak.
Yeah, you had to send it away, which meant a lot of pros never used it because of the delay.
Yeah, but that was included in the price of the film. So when you bought the film, you basically got an envelope, and when you exposed it all, you put it in the envelope and you sent it off, and then about a week later, you got your slides back.
So National Geographic photographers, obviously, they didn't have to get a daily paper out. They didn't have that same urgency. But I'm guessing it wasn't much used in the press then.
So, no, well, it was used all the time in the press, but from abroad. So what you would do is you'd shoot a load of rolls of it. You would expose it at 100 ISO, not 64. This is Kodachrome 64. Expose it at 100. And then you would FedEx it or DHL it or courier it back from, in my case, West Africa, because it didn't make any difference, the extra day or two, straight to Kodak, who would then send it straight on to an agency.
Okay, brilliant. Well, there we go, Kodachrome. Round 2 was multiple choice. I asked you both what CMOS stands for, which is a word that we read all the time, especially in our gear section. The CMOS sensor, CMOS. A, B, C, or D? Marcus, let's go for you first. What did you have?
I went for B, whatever that was. It just sounded...
B was circuit matrix output signal.
That sounds far more
I went for
believable.
A, and I didn't choose B, and I can't remember the others because I just thought the word matrix cannot possibly... Ruth's made that up or added it in or something.
Okay, so James is correct, in fact.
That's just not fair. That's not fair.
I know, it's unusual, to be fair. Complementary metal oxide semiconductor.
I have no idea either. That's
who
funny.
called it that, for goodness sake?
Yeah, I knew that James didn't do that based on knowledge, just a wild guess, but we do have a wild guess round to come. I don't know who called it that, to be honest. They began appearing in digital cameras late 1990s, replacing earlier CCD sensors that was in cameras like the Nikon D1, Sony Mavica. But unlike the CCDs, the CMOS reads each pixel individually, which makes cameras faster and more efficient. So there we go, CMOS. Again, I mean, photographers and scientists around the photography world are just not renowned for coming up with snappy or catchy names. Although, to be fair, they did shorten it to CMOS. So there we go. Anyway, round 3, name the year. I asked you, in what year was the first aerial photograph taken?
Now, Marcus has an advantage here. Because
no, I do not.
Yes,
I don't remember it personally, James. I wasn't born.
Because he's A, older, and B, has a pilot's licence, so he knows about, and he's a nerd.
Okay, right. Well, based on that, then, Marcus, what did you put down?
I've gone 1884.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, at least I'm not...
Because it would have been taken from an airship or a hot air balloon.
James?
At least I'm not going to be humiliated. Well, I'm not going to be humiliated.
You've given him a tip before you need to don't give your reasoning until the second person's given an answer.
And don't change your answer.
No, my reasoning was I've written down 1870 because it was 100 years before the birth of Marcus McAdam. That's the only reason I had.
And that makes sense. Okay, well, the closest is, in fact, James.
Oh, no.
It was 1858, taken by a French photographer and balloonist, Gaspard
that's going to really
Felix
upset him.
Tournichon. Yeah, so it took him 3 years of experimentation before he successfully produced the first aerial photograph. It was a French village and 80 metres above the ground. He had to actually take the whole darkroom with him in the basket. And the earliest known photos don't actually survive any longer. You can't actually see what that looks like. The oldest
so you've got
one
no
still
proof.
survives.
There's no proof, Ruth.
There was at one stage, just because I haven't seen it. The image of Boston was taken in 1860, which is actually the one that carries on living. But no, there we go, 1858, and James gets that point again. So there you go.
Yeah, that's actually quite difficult to say. There's no proof, Ruth.
Yeah.
That's a good tongue.
No proof, Ruth.
Yeah, it's not a good tongue twister. That. Try saying that a few times.
And do you know what? This year, Ruth, I ticked off a bucket list by going in a balloon. Sadly, it was alongside Harry, which was a bit of a downside. But other than that, it was fantastic. And do you know what? Taking pictures from balloons, it really is quite magical, actually. So.
I would love to do that one day. Anyway, round 4, artificial intelligence. I was asking ChatGPT to describe something photographic. You both looked slightly confused.
Yeah,
James is looking slightly sheepish at the moment. Who wants to go first?
Oh, go on then, Marcus.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Right, go on.
Go on, Marcus.
Oh.
Go on.
I
Go
wrote
on,
down.
Go on, Marcus.
No, go on, James. I wrote down lens hood.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's miles away from what I wrote down.
yeah. Well, I'm not confident at all.
I wrote down histogram, but I was going to write down sensor, but histogram.
Okay, well, we've done lens hood before, so again, kudos for not listening to the podcast.
Well, I clearly wasn't on that one.
No, well, and also weren't listening. Neither of you are right, and I'm surprised slightly by that because it's a loop.
Oh, you are a rat bag, Ruth Taylor.
James uses a loop pretty much every time he's shooting a photograph. I've never seen anybody else use it on the back of a digital camera. James does.
That's so annoying.
But even Marcus, as a film photographer, uses a loop a lot.
So annoying.
Yeah. No,
I can see Marcus's brain trying to figure out why the description was wrong for that.
No.
But,
It all makes sense now. But yeah, just
okay. Right, well, nil point again for you guys. All right, here's our final one. Round 5 was take a wild guess. I asked you what the world's longest photographic exposure time was.
yeah. I've got to nail this on be exact to get 2 points in order to just draw even.
And I'm depending on how you give it to me, I might need to calculate. So yes, tell me.
I've gone 4 years and 6 months, which obviously isn't right because it's too round a figure.
Well, mine's an even rounder figure. I've gone 10 years. I just thought somebody in the NPL, National Physics Laboratory, or somebody like that would just take a picture for exactly 10 years. It's the sort of thing they do there.
Yeah.
Okay, closest, James.
Oh no.
It was 8 years and around 30 days. So it was captured between August 2012, September 2020 by a photographer using a pinhole camera made from an old drinks can lined with photographic paper. They mounted the camera to the dome of one of the telescopes at the University of Hertfordshire. And it includes the dark shapes of the buildings and also includes the fainter outline of a building that was constructed partway through and a series of white arcs that traces the sun's movements across the sky. At the bottom shows the winter solstice and the topmost arc shows the summer solstice, and it remained up for so long basically because she forgot about it. She had some other ones up, took them away, forgot about this one, and one of her professors found it several years later. So there we go, 8 years and around 30 days.
Wow. Have you seen the picture?
I have. In fact, I've seen it before I did this, and it's pretty cool. You can do a lot of fun things with those beer can cameras. In fact, people sell kits now. So I think originally you just get an old beer can and stick a pin in it, but now you can actually buy the kit. It's a good Christmas present, stocking stuffer. And it's cool to see, it's cool to have a look at. So unintentional world record, but world record nonetheless. And so that means 4 points to James. Yeah. 1 point to Marcus.
Oh, is it really that much?
And that was a shared point at the top.
And do we roll on? Do these scores?
No, they don't roll on.
Yes,
they
do.
Roll on.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we could. Yeah, no. I was just going to do the winner and loser for each month.
No. Total points across the year.
That could be fun, actually. I never thought about doing that.
Pound a point. Come on.
Pound a point. Yeah, so at the end you get, what, like £28 at the end of the year. Maybe we do need a bit of an incentive, actually. But anyway, let us know how you guys got on, if you managed to score higher than James. Let us know if you'd like to submit any questions as well for any of the rounds. Please do send them in. And thank you to Nigel, who's already sent a bunch of questions in. I can't remember, one of those might have been Nigel's, in fact. So thank you, Nigel. And a few more I've got. So if you've got any ideas, send them in to us, podcast@mc2photography.com.
The Photography Online Podcast, in partnership with Kingjoy Tripods.
Well, we are excited to have Kingjoy Tripods supporting us for our second year in a row here on the podcast. This year, we thought we'd inject a bit of fun into this feature by introducing a quiz element to it. Basically, every month we will play a clip of one of the team using a Kingjoy tripod somewhere on location. Now, this location could be anywhere in the world, and from the clues that they provide, you've got to work out where they are or what they're taking a photo of. Now, Marcus has recorded the first of these, so for the first time, I can say, Marcus, where on earth are you?
Well, Ruth, you join me in what I think is probably one of the most bizarre locations I've ever been to. I'm in what can only be described as a train cemetery. Before me, I have about 20 19th and 20th century steam locomotives gracefully decaying in the middle of nowhere, and they make a fantastic subject to photograph. As the country I'm in is landlocked, I guess it makes sense that it has such a rich history of train travel. Now, it was a long journey and I had to come through the world's highest capital to get here. And for this reason, I had to put a lot of consideration into the tripod that I brought with me. I didn't want something too heavy or bulky, which would weigh me down, but I'm using my Fuji GX617, which is a huge panoramic film camera, which requires a good solid base to support it, so I couldn't go too light on the tripod. So I'm using the Kingjoy C83S, which delivers that perfect balance between a compact lightweight travel tripod, but offers bags of stability even for large cameras such as the one I'm using here. Now, unusually for me, I've got the camera positioned almost at eye level. So I'm 6'2", and it's amazing to think that this compact travel tripod can get the camera up to this height. So I'm all set up, the sun is going down over my right shoulder, and as it does, it's getting softer by the minute. And while I'm waiting for it to get a little bit softer, it'll probably just be a couple of minutes, I want to wander over to one of the steam locomotives because I want to read out to you what it says on the footplate. Now, if I sound out of breath, I'm going to blame that on the altitude because even though I'm walking across flat ground, at the height I'm at, it still gets the heart pumping. Okay, so I'm looking at the footplate here below me on one of the engines, and I can see the words "Made in Lanarkshire." Now, as you know, Ruth, Lanarkshire is in Scotland, but which country am I in right now?
Well, there was a huge amount of clues in there. James, were you trying to figure that out as you were going along?
I was trying to figure it out. I was talking about decrepit railways, so I thought to start with it was England. But then he went on to say that it was a landlocked country. I think I do know it's in sort of north, somewhere. Central, somewhere, yeah, high up.
Right, okay. Well, he did drop a huge number of hints in there. It is somewhere altitude, in a landlocked country, as you said, where the sun sets quite quickly, but he's photographing steam trains, which were made in Scotland. So I know where it is because I've got it written down here in front of me, and I will be giving you the answer and revealing where you can see the photo that Marcus took a little later on in the show. If you want to know what else is available in the Kingjoy professional lineup, do check out the Photography Online shop if you are in the UK, or you can go to kingjoy.com for international sales or to find your nearest dealer. All right, well, let's move on.
Listeners from an unlikely location.
All right, well, this month we have had our first listener, guys. This is exciting, from Panama. So I'm trying to think where Panama is, in fact. I can just think of hats. Is that a thing?
Yeah, Panama
hats?
hat, yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's Central America, where the canal is, Ruth.
Oh, the canal, of course, the canal. Picture exactly. Bienvenido, I believe, to you guys, or to you, guy or gal, listening in Panama. We never give a mention, though, to people listening from countries in the middle of our popularity table, so we thought we would change that. Shine the spotlight there for a change. Now, Germany is our top-ranking non-English US, that's not right, non-English speaking location. So guten Tag to you guys. I was going to say the German for hello, but that turns out
Come on, Ruth, we know that you're very good at your Ruth is actually almost fluent in German, so...
Yeah, so what's hello
that
in German?
It's hello.
I learned that now. I never forget it.
Well, Guten Tag will do as well. Welcome, also quite similar, so it's Willkommen, so that'll work as well. Something's happening in Armenia, though, which we mentioned last month as being our biggest climber up the table of listeners. This month, the figures have doubled again, so clearly someone is banging the Photography Online drum very loudly. You're very welcome over in Armenia. And finally, I thought it would be a good idea to give a shout out to our top Asian country, which, James, do you have any idea what that might be?
Asian country. Come on, India?
Well, normally it is India, but this month it's actually Malaysia. So welcome to everyone in Malaysia. And again, I think it's just hello for hello. So we'll just say welcome.
You could say apa kabar, I believe. I apologise if that's wrong in Malay, but I think it's that. So.
Is that, I apologise if that's wrong in Malay?
No, I think it's hello or good evening or something, but I don't know. All
right, well, we'll take that and let us know if we got it wrong. Do get in touch, though. Tell us about yourself. Always fascinated where people are listening in from. As I said, you can email podcast@mc2photography.com or leave a comment on whatever platform you're listening on. And thank you for your comments on last month's podcast. GalleyPix58 got in touch, said, I'm listening in Trinidad and Tobago. On YouTube, he's an avid viewer of the show. I've been listening into photography been into photography since the late 70s. Roylan Alvarez, I think he's known as Roy, said, I'm writing from Costa Rica. Want to let you know that you have a big fan in Guanacaste. Although English isn't my first language, I'm really enjoying your accents and all the news, the games, the valuable information and insights that you provide. Billy Mon, 6225, also got in touch, said, sadly, when it comes to photos, and this is referring to a story we were talking about last month about storing photographs. He says, sadly, when it comes to photographs, for the most part, I don't think that many people really want a bunch of old photos cluttering up things. I can see James getting slightly redder there. I work at a landfill. Could not tell you how many old photo albums and boxes of old photographs that are just dumped out with other keepsake items that they want no part of. I've had to come to the conclusion that most of the pictures that I take are for me and my memories, and when I'm gone, the memory that goes with the photo goes with me, while unfortunate.
What was that gentleman's name, Ruth? What was his name?
He was called Billy.
Oh, come on,
Bill.
Billy. Come on, Billy. Cheer up. It's the new year. It's the new year.
But he's only giving you his first-hand experience of people throwing away photos. Now, I remember very clearly when I was, a wee lad. I was probably, younger than 10, put it that way. I remember going through and tidying up my bedroom, and I got a load of photos that I didn't really want anymore, and I put them in the bin. And my mum came in and she said, one thing you should never ever throw away is photos. And I don't know why, but it's always stuck with me in the back of my mind that you should never throw away photos. Now, I don't agree with that, because I do throw away photos when they're not good, but photos that you take now that you think, well, there's no point in keeping that, in 20, 30, 40 years' time, they might be invaluable.
Absolutely. Billy should go to his landfill and he should collect up all of that stuff and start.
He works there, James. He's going to spend a lot of time.
No, but that would be good, actually, to start a website selling random people's photos, because even though you don't know the people who might be in the photos.
Billy, I'm not sure of the legality of that, by the way, before you take Marcus at his word.
Well,
but nonetheless, keeping them for posterity might be an interesting project.
Yeah, you just need a big shed.
You do see a lot of news stories over the years about someone saying, I found a family photo album in a bin, and I'm on Facebook, I'm trying to find out who it belongs to, because obviously it was an accident. And a lot of the time they trace the person, and actually it wasn't an accident. They genuinely don't really care. And you don't see those stories too much anymore. But it's the other side of the coin from what the guys have been talking about. And as Bill says, while unfortunate, it seems to kind of be the way of things today. So you're right, you could make a bit of a project out of it if you so chose. But thank you, Bill, anyway, for getting in touch. Always appreciate the feedback. Do keep it coming. Like I said, comment wherever you're listening, or email podcast@mc2photography.com. We are going to move into our final section of the show and have a wee look at some gear.
It may be new, it may even be exciting, but does the world really need it?
Right, well, I know it's post-Christmas. I'm sure loads of you got new gear, stuff you want, stuff you maybe didn't want so much, stuff that's already on eBay, making you some money back. But we've got a few items just in case you want some more inspiration. Marcus, what's the first one?
Yeah, so we picked this one up from Amateur Photography magazine, and it's the Peak Design rope strap, which does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a strap for your camera, which looks like a rope. And I'll give you the price first, because the price is probably the most outstanding detail of this. $50 for the standard version, just for a little bit of rope.
I want the deluxe.
$50.
Is there a deluxe?
Well, there is a deluxe. It's a leather option, and that will set you back $80. So
that's the rope. That's not I
don't know. I mean, it just said $80 for a leather option.
Okay.
But what this is it's a length of rope, and it has the Peak Design kind of lugs on each end. Which, if you're familiar with that, I mean, it's not the first strap that Peak Design have made, and it's this kind of clip-on, clip-out system, so you can put the strap on and take it off with ease, shall we say. Now, in this, the reason I mentioned we got this from Amateur Photography magazine is because they have described Peak Design as the company as being the maker of premium accessories. Now, I appreciate that they do make good camera straps. However, they make what is without doubt the worst tripod in the world, because we have lots and lots of people who come over normally from North America, where the Peak Design have clearly had a great marketing campaign for their tripods over there. And they come to Scotland and they turn up with these Peak Design travel tripods. They are completely useless. You'd be better off hand holding the camera. So I just want to put that out there, that just because it's Peak Design doesn't mean to say it's good. But I'm not knocking the camera straps. The camera straps might be useful, but I think this one might be a little bit overpriced. But, to convince you, James, to depart with $50 for the standard version or $80 for the deluxe leather version, I'll tell you what features come with the strap. It comes with anchor links to connect and disconnect the camera. The strap to the camera.
That's always handy to be able to connect your strap to your camera.
Yes.
So it comes with that. Wow.
It comes with that. It comes with a pair of split rings. So they're the little metal rings that you put onto the lugs of your camera to then connect the strap to. They come free of charge. It comes with an anchor mount to screw into the tripod screw at the bottom of the camera, so that rather than having the camera in a loop around, connected to two parts.
No, well, you did actually. I have to say, it's a cross-body camera strap you're describing here, because I'm looking at it. So you did.
No, but it's a combination. You can have it in many different formats. You see, okay. So you can attach it to the tripod screw at the bottom of the camera, and it comes with a loop strap, allowing you to create an adjustable loop, which I think is so that you can wear it around the body. So you get all of that. For your money. So what do you reckon?
Well, I do quite like the look of it, and the lug system I've seen on other people's cameras. So the connecting of the strap to there's nothing wrong with that. You and I are both in total agreement that unless there's a very, 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 very good reason, don't have a strap on your camera. They blow around in the wind, they get pulled, they knock things over.
Yeah. James,
I know what Ruth. I know.
The last week wearing a very manly and it's split across the body.
Yeah, here we go.
Do you know why I was wearing that, Ruth?
Because you were doing a bit of street photography?
No, because I needed my hands to help other customers with their gear. That's the principal reason. If I'd been going out on my own, I would not have had that strap on the camera.
I seem to recall you wearing it the day we were out on our own, but never mind, carry on.
So I have seen numerous people smash their cameras into the floor, into the rocks, and it's all because they've had a strap on it. If they hadn't had a strap on it, it wouldn't happen. Yeah. Now, I'm sure there would be many situations where people, if they hadn't had a strap on their camera, they would have dropped it and it might have smashed, but you don't see that. But going back to the Martin Parr documentary that I was talking about, when he was walking around with his little, walking frame on wheels,
stroller,
he had the camera around his neck on a strap, obviously because he's walking around and he needs two hands to steady himself on his walker, and then he stops and he raises the camera. So that would be a good example of when a camera strap could be handy. But when it's not handy, it's just to keep it on all the time regardless, because that's when you are going to run into problems, as James says. I
would say, though, the cross-body version does not swing in the same way. It's kind of going over your shoulder. It doesn't have that same, it's not going to, when you lean over, bang into the edge of a bridge or anything like that, which this one does 2 for 1, which is, quite good. James had his crossbody one on. It wasn't swinging madly around.
No, I think that when you're in a rural environment, then you probably want to take your camera strap off, because you're going to be, probably using it on a tripod maybe. You're going to be walking around over, uneven terrain, etc. Just put it in your bag and don't have a strap on it. And then when you're in an urban area, such as Venice, that's when, it might make more sense to have a strap on your camera. Had to be careful with my words there. But having said that, if you walk around with an expensive camera over your shoulder on display in an urban area, then you're basically setting yourself up for a mugging or theft of some kind, aren't you?
And the interesting thing is that do you know what's mostly nicked in terms of camera equipment, Ruth? It's quite an interesting thing. It's actually lenses. So pickpockets are quite clever. They know how to detach a lens, so to take the lens off the camera and you won't even notice. So that's the one thing you need
while
to be...
you're wearing it?
Yes.
Yeah, it happens a lot with Leica, because people who have Leica cameras, they see them as fashion accessories, so you have to wear them. It's cameras that you have to wear. And there's been many stories where someone's picked their camera up off their hip, gone to take a picture, and there's no lens on it.
Yeah.
It's not just happened once. I mean, that's happened a lot of times. So
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I think the last lens strap I used was a shoelace, and that was courtesy of James, who just happened to have spare shoelaces in his pocket and did the job. It was a wrist strap kind of shoelace
There
thing.
you are, you see. That's what I think. It's a lovely looking bit of kit, this, Ruth, but rather than having a camera on the end of it, I'd rather have a nice little spaniel.
Oh. You got that
Right.
violin
Okay.
anywhere, Ruth?
I do.
Don't
somewhere,
even
but,
go
yeah,
there when
too
all I
much.
get is pictures of your hound eating fresh chicken.
So what do we reckon here? Does the world really need this?
James, what do you think?
I will give it a maybe. Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah.
You can do that, yeah. What do you reckon, Marcus?
I'm going to give it a miss because I don't think that this solves any problems that are already existing in the world. I think it's just another
right.
excuse to make more money out of people.
Okay, well, there we go. It's got the fail sound effect. New for 2026. Let's move on to our next item of gear then, James. This is one that you've got. What is this all about?
So this is a 2x teleconverter, and it's made by Viltrox, and it's for Sony Fit, and it's basically very cheap compared to Sony's own offering. So there isn't a huge amount to say more than that. But what it once again, and I always bang on about the same things. What I like is companies that innovate, produce third-party bits and pieces so that you can test equipment, you can explore your photographic, I don't know, all the different genres you might want to without having to shell out a vast sum of money on the Sony's original version of it. So when I've had a look at some of the test images, they don't, I have to say, seem overly great, but it is a 2x converter, and I'm not comparing them personally side by side with Sony's. So if you're a birding photographer, for example, and it's not necessarily, you're not necessarily, into the intricacies of, I don't know, the perfect bird picture, but you're more interested in, documenting what you've seen for identification purposes, then this sort of lens would be absolutely ideal for you. If you're into corner-to-corner sharpness, I would definitely want to test it against the Sony version. But if your subject matter is principally in the middle, I see no reason that this wouldn't be a very good starting point and possibly even finishing point. It just slightly depends on what you're going to be using it for. But it's great that companies, once again, are producing all these, there are different photographic companies producing different accessories.
So there's a third-party manufacturer, obviously. What's the price difference between Sony's version?
I do. I've
and
just
these
lost
guys?
the page there for a second. It's Sony's is 600, and it's half the price at roughly $300. That is.
And is Viltrox kind of well thought of in general, kind of like Sigma for lenses, or
They're certainly getting there. They're not anywhere near Sigma, I would say, at the moment, but they are getting in that direction. But it's very hard to always to ever comment without running sort of extensive tests on these things. So I know Marcus has recently done some teleconverter tests. So
the thing to do here would be for people to get a hold of this Viltrox teleconverter, put it on whichever lens you're using, because that's the thing. It's some lenses it's maybe possibly going to work and be beneficial, and other lenses it won't. So let's just say you want to use it with a 400 f2.8 lens. Take a photo without the teleconverter on, then put the teleconverter on, take the identical photo. Obviously, it's going to be now at 800 millimeters, but then crop the non-televoto version down to 50% of what it is and compare the sharpness. And if the sharpness is no different, then there's no point in having the teleconverter on, because you're just losing 2 stops of light to gain nothing. But the problem with the way the world works now is that you can't go into a shop, into an old-fashioned camera shop, and say, can I try the new Viltrox 2x teleconverter on my camera lens, and just walk outside the shop and take those test shots, because everything pretty much is online nowadays. So it's just a sad sign of the times that you can't try things before you actually buy them now.
So the other thing to note about teleconverters in general, Ruth, is that people often, as Marcus said, put them on the end of a 400. If you're putting it on a long focal length lens, so if you are putting it on the end of a 400 2.8 lens, that's a very expensive lens. You'd probably be better off just spending the extra money, the extra $200-300 and getting the original one. So then what people do is they put a cheap teleconverter on the front of on the back rather of a cheaper lens, and basically you're exaggerating any faults that lens might have had. And the other problem with teleconverters is atmospheric, so things that are actually in the air. So they think that that particular bird or building, whatever it is actually quite a long way away. So I put a teleconverter on and that will get me closer. But it's also magnifying any imperfections that are actually in the air, atmospherics. So, they can be difficult to use. Does the world really need this? I don't know.
I don't think it does, because they already exist. Sigma make one. There's own brands make them. So if you've got if you're a Nikon user, you can buy a 2x Nikon converter or a Sigma one for probably slightly less. Do we need another one? There's no harm in someone trying.
But in defence of Viltrox, they're pushing the boundaries. They're trying, and that's good. They're doing new things, and that can only be good.
I'm not knocking them for that, but we're asking the question, does the world really need another 2x teleconverter, which is probably not going to be beneficial in a majority of situations?
Go on then, Ruth. Ask the big question.
Talk about a leading question, Marcus. Sorry, James. Yes. What do you reckon? Yes, no, or maybe? Then
we'll give it a maybe. Give it a maybe.
Yeah, I'll give
maybe.
it a.
James, you agree with that?
I'm going to give it a yes.
Well, there's a maybe. Not quite. We're not sure about that one.
It was an almost there, but just fell at the final hurdle.
Yeah, that's the Viltrox 2x teleconverter. If you're intrigued, to have a wee look in the show notes. We've got all our gear items in there. Next item, Marcus, is something that I have been not actively looking for, but kind of vaguely keeping an eye out. I wasn't sure if anything actually existed of decent quality, but I came across this. Not entirely sure on the quality side of things, but tell us first of all what it is.
Okay, so this is the Sight, spelled SIGHT, that's the name of the company, all-metal waist-level viewfinder. And from what I can work out, it's just a self-contained metal box with a lens on the front, not a camera lens, but a viewing lens on the front of it, and a screen on the top. So you fix it to the hot shoe or the accessory shoe of your camera, and it basically provides a waist level viewfinder. So it doesn't look through the lens, but it will be looking at the same scene that your camera's looking at.
So it's like a rangefinder idea.
Well, a viewfinder, because a rangefinder would be a focusing thing. So you'd have a focusing
That's
thing
true.
with the thing. So it just means that if you like using waist level viewfinders, as we all do, I think here we can agree on that. Then you can put this on your digital camera, and you can use it at waist level, and you can look down into it and you can compose. You can't focus or anything, but you can compose, so you can see what the camera's looking at. So there's a couple of different versions available. There's one that covers 28 and 40 millimeters, so you get different kind of crop lines or guides on the top screen. To show you where 28 and 40 millimeters is. And then there's another one which has got 28, 35 and 50 millimeter guidelines as well. So each of those comes in either silver or black, because obviously you're going to want to match it to the color of your camera. But it's the kind of thing that would probably look quite cool on one of those retro kind of Fuji, cameras, I guess. And if you see somebody looking down at a waist level viewfinder, it just it's a cool little thing. I mean, they're not expensive. They're £44.89. How's that for a random price?
Well, that's what's worrying me. And it's also got, buy 2 and save 8%, buy 3 and save 10, buy 4. I mean, why would you buy?
Well, you might have a lot of cameras, I guess.
You're not going to 4 eyeballs. You just swap them around.
Just friends.
That's
friends.
True.
I know that's hard for you two to comprehend.
Oh, ooh,
but the good news, James, here is the $44.89 is actually currently a reduced price. So
it's $44.81 on where I'm looking at it.
Well, okay, the normal price is a far more rounder figure of $89.78.
$89.62 where I am.
So so there might be. I think what's happening here is you might have loaded your website webpage today, and I loaded mine yesterday, and this is clearly
because I'm the same as James.
Okay, so this is clearly a base price in either dollars or euros, and the currency has changed since you loaded your page.
The pound is falling again.
Yeah,
sell everything you own.
If you're seeing a cheaper price than me, the pound must have got stronger.
I know it was a cheap shot. It was a cheap joke.
Okay, but anyway, it's about £45. So clearly, it's €50 or something, and it's just converting it for us because it knows that we're in the UK. But I wouldn't use this, but I can see that there would be benefits for other people to use it, and I'm certainly not going to knock it.
All right, well, wow, impressive. James, what do you reckon?
The only thing it's missing is, and this is a little bit niche, is a pop-up magnifier on the top. So
yeah, it does have a shade that pops up.
I want a magnifier. I'm blind as a bat, remember? So
you've got a loop for that reason, James.
No, but then I wouldn't have to have my loop. Then my life would be complete if this had a pop-up magnifier.
Who would you be without your loop?
Who would I be without my loop?
So what do you reckon? Yes, we like it.
Yeah, can we give it a tremendous fanfare? Come on.
I'd be happy.
Give it a fanfare. Here we go. You'd be happy to receive that in your 2026 stocking. All right, well, good to know. Okay, well, this is a fun one, but also I think serious. James, tell us all about this next item of gear.
The Chill Beam. It's got a great name, hasn't it?
Cool name,
I know. Yeah. You just want one from the name alone. I'm going to order 5. It's a inflatable light with magnets on it that stick to anything metal, clearly. But I dare say you could attach Velcro strips to the back of it and do whatever you wanted. You can change the colour, temperature. You can of the light strip. It's roughly, it probably says somewhere on the website, but it's roughly 50 centimetres long, 60 centimetres long. And it doesn't give out a huge amount of light, but that's not really what it's for. It's just, occasionally if I'm doing sort of architectural things, and I think Marcus mentioned it in a piece he did about shooting bathrooms, you might put a light in a bath or in the bottom of a shower, or you might want to give somebody a little bit of a fill light occasionally. It would be ideal for that, but you would be always working at in an overall ambient relatively low levels for it to have any effect whatsoever. So it doesn't give out a huge amount of light, but it is cool because you can pack it away small, blow it up like an inflatable lilo, a single lilo type idea. Have I described that correctly? It is a lilo you lie on, don't you?
Yes, you do, yeah.
You do. And then it's rechargeable, and away you go.
It's a bit like one of those party balloons that you make animals out of, isn't it? It's kind of like in terms of the video that I've seen about this is that you can sort of throw it on the floor, you can throw it into water, and it will float. It's basically indestructible, right?
Yeah, but you can't turn it into a giraffe.
Well,
have you tried?
Exactly. Have you tried?
No.
It does look like the Lilo. You just blow it up by mouth.
Yeah, it's more like a Lilo than the series of party balloon animals where you can ask for a sunflower or a giraffe, and that's your lot, basically.
But it's a serious item. I mean, although the video does show it being tossed on the floor and taken into a shower, I believe the intention is that you can actually use those. I
can think of many applications where they would be used.
It's not a party item, is what I'm saying.
No, not at all. It's a serious bit of kit, but my only concern is the amount of light it actually gives out, and I suspect it's not a huge amount, but I would want to test one first. But you know what, I might just do that.
So once you've used this thing in its rigid form because it's inflated, then you basically just let the air out of it and roll it up like you do like a sleeping mat in a tent or something, and then stuff it. So we could take them with us. Yeah, when we're on St Kilda or something doing one of our adventures out there, we could take them, a whole series of them, and lie on an opposed to our normal water beds, we could lie on beds of light. And I'll tell you what. Also, James, do you remember when my tent got blown into the sea and we couldn't find it?
I do remember, because you left me without a tent.
You'd be able to see these from miles away because you just have to wait for it to get dark, and you could see them way out at sea, like floating around. They'd probably be attracting all the squid, wouldn't they? Because they'd be like
that's true. Yeah, they'd be surrounded by whitebait.
Yeah, we've just found another use for this product.
So it does say, Ruth, that it's got 1,000 lumens of power, but I don't know whether that's internal power or by the time it's come, it's actually beaming out through its exterior. It's 1,000 lumens, so it's not a huge amount, that. But I'd want to test it and try it. But do you know what? I think I will. I will do it. I will provide you with an update in a month or 3.
There are 3. Right, okay, so we got a maybe on that, do you reckon?
No, I'm all for it.
I'm up for that.
You
Yeah,
want it?
yeah.
You're up for it? Okay, look at that. Gets the fanfare. All right, fantastic. We're doing pretty well, I think. Our final one is one I came across when I was looking for Christmas presents for Marcus. And it's not a new item because I couldn't afford anything new for him. So I was on eBay and came across this. And I don't know, it's obviously not a new gear item, but I thought we'd stick it in here anyway because it's so unusual. Maybe somebody out there has one. Marcus, what did you not get for Christmas from me this year?
I didn't get the Action Man photo mission. So anybody who's old enough to remember Action Man, which was basically the male version.
My brother had loads of those.
Yeah, it was the male version of Barbie, really, wasn't it? It's, you know.
No, that was Ken.
Yeah, but, you know, it's the male
it does
toy
stuff
version.
Fired things and...
Yeah, so this,
figure.
any boy at our age, our era, James, had an Action Man of some description, and this particular Action Man.
But anyway,
this particular Action Man, he has a video camera on his shoulder, and he's going around, obviously documenting, you know, maybe some war zones, or maybe, I mean, he's not really undercover because it's quite a big video camera he's got on his shoulder. Have you ever seen the film The Bodyguard? You know
what, Kevin Costner's Bodyguard?
Yeah, but you know, at the end when Whitney gets shot.
No, I'm
on
always
stage,
crying at that point.
Yes, you can't see through the tears. But anyway, it's a big camera like the one that she gets shot by. Anyway,
I've never seen it. You just ruined it for me. Rats.
Sorry about that, Ruth. But yeah, it is like 30 years old. Yeah, so never mind. So. This particular Action Man was originally launched in 1998. He's 30 centimetres tall, and he comes with a press card, a pistol, and a video camera. A bit like yourself, James.
Yeah. You could swap the pistol for a shotgun if you like.
But the twist with this particular action figure is that he can actually take photos, real photos, not with the camera, which is on his shoulder, but through a covert lens in his press vest. So what you do is you basically load a 110 I don't know, a 110 film cartridge. I was going to say millimeter, but that's not right, is it? Because they're not millimeters. But
no, they were the little things. Do you remember?
Yeah, the little cartridges called 110. But I don't know why it was called 110. Because,
where does that go? I'm looking at the picture. Where do you load it?
It goes in the back of this dude, okay, and then he's got a shutter button on his shoulder, apparently, so that you can take photos. Now, the camera that's covertly hidden in his vest only has a single aperture and a single exposure time, so you have no control over the exposure here.
So you've got to run outside at the right time of day.
Well, I mean, you could load different ISO films, I guess, depending on whether you're shooting indoors or outdoors. But I was a little bit disappointed to learn that his arm wasn't the wind-on thing, because I just thought that would be really cool if his arm went up and down, and that was the way that you wound the film on. But apparently, there's a little thumb wheel somewhere where you kind of rotate it, and it makes that horrible.
Well, your disappointment will be sated when you discover where you actually load the film, because I've just had a look.
Yeah. Well, I did say that it went in the back.
It's a bit worrying.
Anyway, there's no viewfinder, so the only way that you can kind of guesstimate what's going to be on your photo is to look through the very sort of like vague viewfinder of the camera that's on his shoulder, and that will show you roughly what you're going to get. So it's a bit of a fun item, but it's cool that it actually takes photos. However, I mentioned earlier that this was originally launched in 1998. Sadly, by the end of the 2000s, the film had been discontinued. So anybody who had one of these would have just put it in a box in the loft, and it's probably still there. But that is until now, because Lomography now sell 110 cartridges in colour negative, colour slide, and black and white, as well as a couple of novelty options as well. So this would be a good time to go up in your loft, James.
And find Action Man and drop his pants.
Yeah, dust him off, drop his pants, stick your 110 in him, and off you go. And you can send him off on missions to take covert photos of everything he finds.
Wow.
Action Man lives again. He's up for sale on eBay. This is a private bid, I think. £16.15 or best offer.
Yeah, so this is for sale.
Who's got a birthday coming up?
Someone called M1 and then Mark 2 _21. So if you want to go and have a look on eBay. But seriously,
I bet Marcus if you found one of these and it was in boxed, because people love boxes and mint condition, it would be worth an absolute fortune.
It would be an absolute fortune. And this would actually be, I think, a good item for somebody who collects cameras, because you're not going to get a more novel camera than this.
Well, I'm looking at all the model cameras on the shelf behind you, Marcus, so you never know. Christmas 29.
Did you just say model cameras, Ruth?
I may have done inadvertently.
Okay.
Many real cameras on the shelves behind you, all in working condition. Yeah. So yes, no, maybe. I think we like that, do we?
I mean, you can't knock it. It's unique and it works. So, if you didn't actually take any photos, I'd be just saying, well, this is just a lump of plastic that's just going to go in landfill. Yeah. But the fact that he actually takes photos, I think is really cool.
Don't send him to landfill. We'll upset Billy, okay? So we don't need to send him there. So
that's true. All right, well, we'll give him a resounding trumpet round. There we go. That is our gear section for January. A little bit lighter, but hey-ho, good fun to start off the year. Do check out the links to any of the things we've been talking about in the show notes on whatever platform you are tuning in on. That's the gear stuff, the news items as well. We've also got a picture of what I'm about to tell you next, which is the reveal for the monthly location. Earlier on in the show, we heard from Marcus. He was out using his Kingjoy C83S tripod somewhere in the world. Now, he did drop many clues for you to work out which country he was in, but we can now reveal the answer. So, Marcus, come on, let us know where you are.
Well, Ruth, the clues were that I'm in a landlocked country and had to come through the world's highest capital to get here. The highest capital is La Paz, which is the capital city of Bolivia, and Bolivia is one of only 2 landlocked countries in the Americas, so there was really nowhere else I could be. Well done if you guessed that right, but to be more specific, I'm outside the town of Uyuni, which is around 4,000 metres above sea level, which is why I was so out of breath earlier, and it's famous for its salt flats. But you know me, I love a bit of dereliction, so rather than opt for the salt flats, I've come to this train graveyard, which if this was in the UK, there would be a hive of train enthusiasts buzzing around. But as it happens, everyone's gone to the salt flats and I've got this place to myself, which is just as well, because there's no one to get in the way of my photos.
If you want to see the photo that Marcus took, do head over to our Facebook or our Instagram pages, where you'll be able to see what a collection of abandoned British steam trains looks like in the middle of the middle of the Bolivian desert. We'll be hearing from another team member on location with their tripod next month. And talking of next month, just letting you know what's coming up on our YouTube show, which is back. We will be back in January. Now, obviously, if you've been following along for any length of time the last few months, you'll know that we're going to be changing our format of the YouTube shows for 2026. So rather than one show per month containing several videos, we're going to release each video separately when they are ready. So that could be any time of day. You do need to make sure you're subscribed and this is very important, and you've got your notifications enabled. That's the important part. Otherwise, you would know which one of our videos is out and when it's coming out. Marcus, what are the potential video topics that we've got coming out in January?
Well, I'm doing the very, very final stages of a brand new photographer's guide to the islands of Harris and Lewis. So I need to do one more trip out there. I'm just waiting for a weather window to go out there. And that's all being recorded. I've already recorded my previous visit, but I just need to record the next visit as well, just to show people what's involved in putting together a photo guide of a location. I think it would be quite interesting. So we can't put that out until the weather window arrives, and I don't know when that's going to arrive. So it will be released as soon as it can be done. But what the Scottish weather is like in the winter time here, you could be waiting weeks just to get 1 or 2 days where it's suitable to be outside and film. So that's coming up. We also look at scanning an 8x20 negative, because you would have seen, anyone who watches the show regularly would have seen me using my big 8x20 ultra large format camera. And the one question I'm always asked is, what's the equivalent resolution of that camera? And I've never really known the answer, because it's not the purpose of buying the camera. But so that I can answer the question, I'm going to scan it, and we're going to see how big that scan is, and then zoom right into the image image and see what kind of detail that we can pick out. So I think that will be quite interesting. Something else that I'm working on at the moment is there's a local scene to me which I want to take a very specific photo. It has to be taken at this time of year because the sun has to be in a very particular position for it to work. And so for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be putting all my effort into going out and getting this photo. I've already done 3 attempts and have been unsuccessful, but I'm not giving up. I'm still going out there. And I'm doing a kind of like a documentary series on every time I go there. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I will get the shot that I'm intending to get by, I need to get it by middle of January, really. Otherwise, my window of opportunity disappears until next year. So hopefully I'll get that done and then we can put that out as well.
All right, well, those hopefully coming up in January. We will be back with the podcast, of course, next month. As usual, thanks as ever for tuning in. Until next month, take good care, but most of all, take good photos.
You've been listening to the Photography Online podcast in partnership with Kingjoy Tripods.